Violent attack after violent attack. There have been more than 80 attacks against Asians in New York City so far this year, and Inspector Tommy Ng, head of the New York Police Department's Asian Hate Crimes Task Force, is taking all of them personally.
Every time I look at my phone and I see one, and it hurts, and I feel that Asian Americans are being attacked because we're Asian American, because of the color of the skin.
I'm outside the NYPD's 5th precinct here in Manhattan's Chinatown. Now, this has been a community on edge, scared, angry, and frustrated over attacks that have spiked in frequency and ferocity. But there is hope that in building trust between law enforcement and the community, Asian residents here will have the tools and the police support to combat this barrage of hate. While anti-Asian discrimination isn't new, experts say misinformation about the origins of the COVID-19 pandemic and stigmatizing language from the former Trump administration made it much worse.
The terrible China virus, as we call it.
Alarmingly, many of these assaults are occurring in public places and in broad daylight. And experts say they target a community many attackers assume won't fight back. Alarming as well is that most of the victims have been Asian women, nearly 7 out of 10, according to non-profit group Stop AAPI Hate. The fear is palpable in New York City, which has seen the highest increase in anti-Asian incidents among major American cities.
The hard work of completing this nation, which ended up becoming the foundation for the future wealth of this country, is not celebrated by those who really gave their lives to this effort.
Not celebrated, but also hardly acknowledged. In doing my research for this story, it became quickly apparent that there's a dearth of information on the history of Chinese labor in America. And historians say it is this lack of information and education that has obscured the important role that Chinese immigrants have played in building this country. Justice for all, that's the key message here today. I'm at Catman Plaza in Brooklyn, New York, where thousands of Chinese Americans around me are here to protest against the conviction of Peter Liang. They believe that Peter Liang was made a scapegoat and is being used as to set an example following public pressure to prosecute police officers. This comes after several incidents involving white police officers and the deaths of unarmed black men. The 2 grand jury decisions not to indict white police officers involved in the deaths of unarmed black individuals over such a short period of time has incensed racial tensions and fueled outrage against police aggression, also prompting calls for change from the city's mayor and civil rights leaders. For Joaquin Guzman, the infamous El Chapo and former head of the deadly Sinaloa drug cartel, this was his day of reckoning for crimes that spanned a quarter of a century. And here in Boston, one phrase continues to dominate: Boston strong, the rallying cry from a city and its people who vow that they are today indeed stronger than ever. Mike? Yes, a massive blast followed by raging fires and a thick plume of smoke that could be seen for miles. This was a scene that greeted residents in this East Harlem neighborhood Wednesday morning at 9:30 a.m. after the explosion propelled debris across onto train tracks nearby and sent residents scurrying away for safety. Across the U.S., other Americans also gathered at places of worship to join those here today in their prayers. Just a stone's throw away from the church, I am now at the Treadwell Memorial Park, where you can see a football field behind me. This is where families and children in Newtown, Connecticut often come to play, but now news crews and satellite trucks occupy the space, the interest reflecting the gravity of what has just happened here, one of the worst school massacres in America's history. Liling, CCTV, Newtown, Connecticut.